March 2, 1945. A communications officer at Supreme Headquarters, Allied Expeditionary Force stares at the slip of paper in his hand. He reads it once, then again. His coffee goes cold on the desk beside him. The message is from Third Army, from Patton. 23 words, that's all it takes to make a room full of senior officers fall completely silent. Have taken Trier with 2 divisions. Do you want me to give it back? No formal greeting, no military pleasantries, no apology for disobeying a direct order from the Supreme Allied Commander. Just 23 words of pure, undiluted Patton. The officer hands the telegram to his superior. That superior reads it, closes his eyes, and slowly shakes his head. Somewhere in Luxembourg, an American general with pearl-handled pistols and a grin spreading across his weathered face is already planning his next move. He doesn't wait for a response. He never does. February 22, 1945. The war in Europe is entering its final bloody chapter. Allied forces have pushed into Germany from the west following the Battle of the Bulge. The Rhine River lies ahead, the last great natural barrier protecting the German heartland. But between the Allied armies and the Rhine stands the ancient city of Trier. Trier, the oldest city in Germany, founded by the Romans as Augusta Treverorum more than 2,000 years ago, a city of stone bridges and medieval fortifications, a city that guards the critical crossings of the Moselle River. A city that Supreme Headquarters believes is impregnable. In the war room at SHAEF headquarters in Versailles, staff officers have studied the problem extensively. Their maps show the terrain, the hills, the river valleys, the ancient walls. Their intelligence reports detailed German defensive preparations. Their calculations are precise. 4 divisions minimum, that's the assessment, possibly more. A frontal assault on Trier would require at least 4 full divisions, extensive artillery preparation, and significant air support. The casualties would be substantial. The operation would take weeks. Better to bypass it entirely. General Dwight D. Eisenhower, Supreme Allied Commander, reviews the recommendation. He has larger concerns: the main thrust toward the Rhine, the coordination of multiple army groups across a front stretching hundreds of miles, the competing demands of Montgomery in the north and Devers in the south. Patton's Third Army is operating on the southern flank. Their objective is to reach the Rhine and seize crossing points. Trier is a distraction. The order goes out: bypass Trier, continue toward the river, do not engage the fortress city. At Third Army headquarters in Luxembourg, Lieutenant General George S. Patton Jr. receives the order. He reads it carefully. Then he sets it aside. Patton stands before his operations map, hands clasped behind his back. His staff knows this posture. This is the posture of a man who is about to do exactly what he has been told not to do. They want us to go around Trier, he says quietly. His G3, Colonel Halley Maddox, nods. That's correct, sir. SHAEF's assessment is that the city is too heavily defended for a direct assault. 4 divisions. Patton's voice carries a note of contempt. They think we need 4 divisions. Yes, sir. Patton turns from the map. His pale blue eyes, the eyes that have stared down subordinates and superiors alike across 2 world wars, fix on his operations officer. Tell me something, Maddox. What does Trier control? Sir. What does Trier control? Maddox steps to the map. The city sits at the confluence of the Moselle and the Saar rivers. It controls the road network into the northern Palatinate. It guards the approaches to the Hunsrück Highlands. Any advance toward the Rhine has to deal with Trier eventually, Patton finishes. Whether we bypass it now or not, it's still there, still threatening our flank, still tying down forces to contain it. Yes, sir. Patton walks to the window. Outside, the February sky is gray and cold. American trucks roll through muddy streets, carrying supplies forward. Somewhere to the east, his divisions are pushing through the Siegfried Line, grinding through bunkers and tank traps and minefields. What do we have in position? XX Corps, sir, General Walker, the 10th Armored Division, the 94th Infantry Division. 2 divisions. Yes, sir, 2 divisions. Patton is silent for a long moment. Then he turns and there is something in his expression, a light, a certainty that his staff has seen before. They saw it in Sicily. They saw it in France. They saw it at Bastonia. Get me Walkers. Major General Walton Walker commands XX Corps, the spearhead of Patton's advance through the Sarmoselle Triangle. He is a bulldog of a man, short, compact, aggressive. Patton trusts him absolutely. The call comes through at 1400 hours. Walker listens as Patton outlines the situation, the order from SHAEF, the 4-division assessment, the directive to bypass Trier. Then Patton asks the only question that matters. Can you take it? Walker doesn't hesitate. Yes, sir. With what you've got. Yes, sir, the 10th Armored and the 94th. They're ready. How long? Give me 3 days, General, maybe less. There is a pause on the line. Walker can almost hear Patton thinking. You have 48 hours, Patton says. Hit them before they know what's happening. Hit them before SHAEF can tell us to stop. Understood, sir. One more thing, Walker. Sir. Don't stop for anything. If you run out of fuel, siphon it from captured vehicles. If you run out of ammunition, use captured ammunition. If you run out of men, Patton pauses, find some. Walker grins, yes, sir. The line goes dead. February 26, 1945, the assault on Trier begins. At 5:30 hours, artillery opens up along a 12-mile front. American shells rain down on German positions in the hills south of the city. The ground shakes, windows shatter miles away. The 10th Armored Division surges forward. Tanks pour through gaps in the Siegfried Line that have been blasted open by weeks of fighting. Infantry follows in half-tracks and trucks, leapfrogging from objective to objective. The 94th Infantry Division attacks from the northwest, driving toward the Moselle River crossings. Their objective is to cut off Trier from reinforcement, to isolate the city, to trap the defenders inside. The Germans are caught off balance. Intelligence had predicted a bypass. The American advance toward the Rhine seemed focused on other objectives. Defensive preparations at Trier were incomplete. Reserves that should have been in position were still moving forward from the rear. Now American armor is tearing through their outer defenses. In a command bunker somewhere in the hills above Trier, German commanders struggle to understand what is happening. Reports flood in from the front, American tanks to the south, American infantry to the northwest, artillery barrages intensifying, communications lines cut. This is not a bypass, this is a full-scale assault. General der Infanterie Baptist Nice, commanding the German LXXXV Corps, issues urgent requests for reinforcement. He needs panzers, he needs infantry, he needs air support. The responses come back negative, negative, negative. Every available German unit is committed elsewhere. The Wehrmacht is fighting for its life along a collapsing front. There are no reserves to send. Trier will have to hold with what it has. But what it has is already crumbling. February 27, 1945, second day of the assault. The 10th Armored Division has advanced 15 miles. Their spearheads are within sight of the Moselle River south of Trier. German resistance is fierce in places, non-existent in others. The defense is uncoordinated, piecemeal, desperate. At 3rd Army Headquarters, Patton monitors the progress with barely contained satisfaction. They're moving faster than expected, Maddox reports. Of course they are, Patton replies, because SHAEF expected nothing. The phone rings, an aide answers, listens, and covers the receiver with his hand. His face is carefully neutral. Sir, it's 12th Army Group, Headquarters, General Bradley's office. Patton's expression doesn't change. Tell them I'm unavailable. Sir. Tell them I'm conducting a reconnaissance forward. I'll return their call when the situation permits. The aide relays the message. When he hangs up, he looks at his commander. Patton is already back at the map. The advance continues. By nightfall on February 27, Elements of the 10th Armored Division have reached the Moselle River at multiple points. Engineers begin preparing bridge sites. Infantry crosses in assault boats under sporadic fire. The 94th Infantry Division has completed its encirclement from the north. The city is now cut off. Inside Trier, German commanders face a choice: fight to the last man in the ruins of the city or attempt a breakout to the east. Neither option offers much hope. The civilian population hunkers down in basements and wine cellars. They have seen war before. They know what is coming. February 28, 1945, the noose tightens. American forces push into the outskirts of Trier from 3 directions simultaneously. Street fighting erupts in the industrial areas south of the city center. German troops defend from rubble-strewn intersections, firing until their ammunition runs out, then falling back toward the old city. The ancient Roman bridge, the Römerbrücke, becomes a focal point of the battle. If the Americans can seize it intact, they will have a direct route into the heart of Trier. At 8:30 hours, tanks from the 10th Armored Division begin their approach. German engineers are preparing demolition charges on the bridge. They work frantically, wiring explosives to the ancient stone pillars. The bridge has stood for 2,000 years. In a few minutes, it will be rubble. American tank commanders spot the activity. There is no time for a coordinated assault, no time for infantry support, no time for artillery preparation. A single command crackles over the radio: go. 3 Sherman tanks accelerate toward the bridge. German small arms fire pings off their armor. A Panzerfaust rocket streaks past, missing by inches. The lead tank's machine gun opens up, sweeping the German positions. The engineers scatter. Some are hit, others dive for cover. The tanks rumble onto the bridge. Beneath them, charges lie unwired, incomplete, seconds from detonation that never comes. The Römerbrücke, built by Roman legions in the 2nd century AD, remains standing. March 1, 1945, the fall of Trier. Fighting continues in pockets throughout the city, but organized resistance is collapsing. German soldiers surrender in groups of 20, 50, 100 at a time. They emerge from basements and ruined buildings with their hands raised, relieved that the battle is over. By 1600 hours, the last major German strongpoint, a fortified position near the Imperial Baths, has surrendered. Trier belongs to the Third Army. At his command post, Patton receives the report with a nod. The casualties are lighter than expected. The operation was faster than predicted. The city, with its bridges and road networks and strategic position, is in American hands. 2 divisions. 48 hours. SHAEF said it couldn't be done without 4 divisions and weeks of preparation. Patton looks at his aide. Draft a message for Supreme Headquarters. Yes, sir, what would you like it to say? Patton's thin lips curl into something that is not quite a smile. Tell them have taken Trier with 2 divisions. Do you want me to give it back? The aide blinks, sir. Just send it. The telegram arrives at SHAEF headquarters in Versailles on March 2, 1945. It lands on the desk of Lieutenant General Walter Bedell Smith, Eisenhower's chief of staff. Smith reads it again. His face reddens. This is insubordination. Clear, deliberate, unmistakable insubordination. Patton was ordered to bypass Trier. He attacked it instead, and now he has the audacity to mock his superiors for being wrong. Smith shows the message to Eisenhower. The Supreme Allied Commander studies the 23 words. His expression is unreadable. He has dealt with Patton before. The slapping incidents in Sicily, the inflammatory speeches that nearly ended Patton's career, the constant friction with Montgomery, with Bradley, with anyone who tried to restrain him. And yet, Patton wins battles. He wins them fast. He wins them decisively. And in war, results matter more than protocol. Eisenhower sets down the telegram. Is there anything else from Third Army? No, sir. Then I believe we have more pressing matters to attend to. The telegram is filed. No response is sent. Patton takes this as approval. The capture of Trier opens the floodgates. With the city secured, Patton's forces pour into the German rear. The Moselle crossings provide direct routes into the Palatinate. German defensive lines, anchored on the assumption that Trier would hold, begin to unravel. Within weeks, Third Army will reach the Rhine. They will cross it before Montgomery's much-anticipated northern offensive even begins. They will race deeper into Germany, liberating prisoners, capturing cities, accepting the surrender of hundreds of thousands of German soldiers. All because a general looked at an order, looked at a fortress city, and decided that caution was for other men. March 4, 1945, Patton toured the captured city. He rides through the streets in his jeep, standing upright despite the cold, his posture ramrod straight. American soldiers cheer as he passes. German civilians watch from doorways, their faces a mixture of fear and relief. Patton stops at the Römerbruch. He climbs out and walks to the center of the ancient span, his boots echoing on stones laid by Roman hands. For a long moment, he simply looks. Below him, the Moselle flows gray and cold. Around him, the ruins of battle smolder. Behind him, his army, the army he has driven, cajoled, and inspired across half of Europe, prepares to continue its advance. An aide approaches. "Sir, a message from XX Corps. General Walker sends his compliments and asks if you have any further orders." Patton doesn't turn around. "Tell Walker to keep moving. Don't give them time to catch their breath. Don't give them time to dig in." "Yes, sir. Anything else?" Now Patton turns. His eyes are bright, fierce, alive. "Tell him what I told him before. Don't stop for anything. Not rain, not rivers, not fortified cities that can't be taken. Just keep moving. Speed and audacity. That's how we win." The aide salutes and hurries away. Patton returns to his jeep. The engine roars to life. East, always east, until the war is won. The Battle of Trier entered the history books as a footnote, a minor engagement in the final months of a global conflict that claimed 60 million lives. But military historians remember it for what it truly was, a perfect illustration of the difference between war as it is planned in headquarters and war as it is fought in the field. SHAEF's 4-division estimate was not unreasonable. By conventional military doctrine, an assault on a fortified city defended by prepared positions should require overwhelming force. Textbooks prescribed it, staff officers calculated it, prudent commanders accepted it. Patton rejected it. He understood something that maps and calculations could never capture. The enemy was not a static variable. The enemy was exhausted. The enemy was demoralized. The enemy was already breaking under the weight of Allied pressure on every front. A cautious approach would give the Germans time to reinforce, time to prepare, time to turn a difficult assault into an impossible one. Speed denied them that time. Boldness shattered their confidence. Aggression exploited their weaknesses before they could be corrected. 2 divisions, 48 hours, 1 ancient city. 23 words that encapsulated everything Patton was: brilliant, arrogant, insubordinate, victorious. Historian Martin Blumenson, author of the definitive Patton biography, would later write, "Trier exemplified Patton's genius, his ability to see opportunity where others saw only obstacles, his willingness to act when others counseled caution, his understanding that in war, hesitation is often the greatest danger of all." General Omar Bradley, who spent much of the war caught between Patton's aggressiveness and Eisenhower's caution, offered a more measured assessment. "George was right about Trier. He was often right. The trouble was he knew it, and he never let anyone forget it." Even Eisenhower, who spent years wrestling with his most problematic subordinate, acknowledged the lesson of Trier in his post-war memoirs. Patton's capture of the city demonstrated that calculated risk, in the hands of a commander who truly understands his enemy and his own capabilities, can achieve results that cautious planning would consider impossible. The Germans learned their own lesson. General Nice, commanding the forces that failed to hold Trier, wrote after the war, "We expected them to bypass us. We were prepared for a siege. Instead, they struck with a speed we could not match. By the time we understood what was happening, it was already over." Speed, audacity, the willingness to trust his instincts over bureaucratic caution. That was Patton, for better or worse, in victory and controversy alike. There is a story, perhaps apocryphal, about what happened when the telegram finally reached Eisenhower's desk. According to the tale, Eisenhower read the message, sighed heavily, and turned to Bedell Smith. "You know," he said, "someday that man is going to send a message that I simply cannot ignore." Smith nodded grimly. "What do we do then, sir?" Eisenhower looked out the window at the French sky, gray with coming rain. "I have no idea," he admitted, "but today is not that day." The telegram was filed, the war continued, and George S. Patton Jr. kept moving east, leaving captured cities and furious staff officers in his wake. He never did get a response to his question. Perhaps that was answer enough. March 2, 1945. A communications officer at Supreme Headquarters, Allied Expeditionary Force stares at a slip of paper. 23 words. "Have taken Trier with 2 divisions. Do you want me to give it back?" He reads it once, then again, then sets it carefully aside for filing. Somewhere in Germany, the rumble of tank treads grows louder. The Third Army is on the move. Nothing will stop it now. Nothing except orders. And orders, as General Patton has just reminded them all, are sometimes merely suggestions.